I do now want to move on and talk about Donald Trump's VP shortlist. There's 8 names on it: Senators Tim Scott, J.D. Vance, Tom Cotton, and Marco Rubio, Representatives Elise Stefanik and Byron Donalds, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, and former HUD Secretary Ben Carson. What are your thoughts on this list?
Uh, Look, I don't know. I mean, you can argue a case for each one, I think, and certainly we've seen that happening in the media. Some people had said, "Look, I think Donald Trump needs to pick a woman." There's only, I think, one woman on that list. You have Tim Scott was originally mentioned as one. He's not really on that list anymore. Ben Carson is. Um, so I think we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I think the odds-on favorite would probably be Marco Rubio, even though there's that issue that they're both from Florida and Rubio would have to establish a residence somewhere else, which I think would be not a huge problem. But certainly the flavor of the month or week or whatever we're calling it is JD Vance. His name has been everywhere, and he's been getting a lot of buzz. And there was a straw poll that was taken at the Turning Point Action event in Detroit that Trump was just at earlier this week, and JD Vance was the winner by, like, it was 43% wanted JD Vance. So he has strong support within the sort of rank and file base of the party. But ultimately, um, Donald Trump's going to pick who he's going to pick, and even the people who are closest to him aren't going to have a clue who it is until he makes his announcement, which will probably come, if Trump is true to form, via Twitter, and we'll all learn about it at the same time.
As we know, there's a block of never Trump voters. Do you think the right vice presidential pick could persuade those types of voters or independent voters to maybe hold their nose and vote for Trump?
No, I don't think. As far as never Trump voters, I mean, they're never Trump for a reason, and he's at the top of the ticket, and I don't think that's going to, he could, regardless of who he picks, that's not going to change their opinion of him and their desire to vote against him. Uh, could it matter with some independent voters? Perhaps. I mean, traditionally, though, vice presidential picks don't have a ton of people, don't go to the polls to vote for vice president. Now, you could argue this is a different situation because we have the two oldest candidates we've ever had, and therefore it takes on an increased importance of, if something were to happen to Trump or Biden, people are going to be looking harder at who would replace them. But at the end of the day, I don't know that a vice presidential pick is going to sway a whole lot of undecided or independent voters in Trump's direction.
When you look at all of these numbers as a whole, I know a lot can happen, obviously, between now and Election Day, and they will shake up after the presidential debate next week. But are you looking for any moments between now and then?
I mean, the conventions obviously are going to happen pretty soon, and those provide opportunities for good and for bad, depending on how things go. Um, but listen, I think this race is almost fully formed now, and the things that are going to happen, the debate, the conventions, these things that are going to happen between now and election day, they're known. In some ways, they're sort of set pieces. They're not going to be dramatic, or, I mean, what's unknown is, could there be something between now and election day, a terror attack, something in the Middle East, something, whatever, natural disaster, tornado, earthquake, flood, whatever, where Biden could be really presidential, like Obama was with Sandy or something like that. Those are the unknown events that can intervene and really shift dramatically people's perceptions, what they think is important, like COVID did in 2020. That kind of thing could really affect, and those are simply the surprises that we don't know about that are left in this campaign. And I suspect there will be at least one or two between now and then, if not more.